It's an added flair. Hello, welcome to Coastal Roots Farm on almost the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Tov Dias, Buenos Dias, Boker Tov. We here are a Jewish community farm, and we are planting out our potatoes that we're going to be harvesting around July or August, and then we're going to store them, and we're going to get them into our hunger relief food distribution program for weeks and months to come after that. We're planting here 3 different varieties. Seed potatoes are, you can go about it a number of different ways. You can grow them at your garden, you can grow them in a field like this. We're showing you today how to do it to scale, and we're doing it mechanically. So some of this won't apply, but a lot of this information will apply to you. So I hope that you have a garden or a little space or a patio that you can grow your garden on. If you are doing that, there's a lot of different pieces of information to how you can do a tower of potatoes. You can do them in old tires in a permaculture type setup. You can do slats, you can do chicken wire. There's a number of different ways. So we're not going into that today. We're going into how you do it if you've got land and a tractor. What you see here are seed potatoes. These are actually certified seed potato. Can you plant a potato from the grocery store? Yes, you can. However, a lot of them are sprayed with sprout inhibitors, so you're not going to get these sprouts, and what you want is sprouts. So you can see these are cut. We sourced from a really reputable seed company, which we recommend you doing even if you're in a home garden situation. And the reason for that is they're tested for disease, and they also have not been sprayed with sprout inhibitors. So what you have is when you're cutting your seed pieces, we try for 3 eyes, minimum of 2 to 3 eyes. If they've got more, that's better, because every eye is where you're going to get your sprout. So you can see here, you can see this sprout coming. That's a nice sprout. That's actually probably going to grow into a potato. I'm going to look for one here. This, you might think, oh yeah, I've got a good sprout. That's not going to make it through the transplanting process. That's actually going to break off, but you see you've got a nice little chit right there. That's what it's called, chitting, and that's going to sprout into a nice potato. These are actually sprayed down and lightly coated with, and you can get these at your garden store as well. This is a mycorrhizal fungi, and what we're doing there, just like the minimized tillage that we're doing, as we're planting with a tractor and we're disturbing the soil, but these fields were not tilled or spaded or it was very non-invasive before we did this, and I'll explain more when we get over there. But what we want to do here is inhabit the soil area of the seed with beneficial fungus, because potatoes get all kinds of fungus and bacteria and get super diseased out. So that's what we have here, and then you can see ideally we're gonna get about 10 to 1 on our returns. So if we plant 1 pound of potatoes, we're hoping to get 10 to 15 pounds out of that 1 pound. So that's pretty exciting when you think about how you can grow food in your garden, because we get a lot of questions about what should we grow in our garden, and a lot of people want to grow broccoli, and that's wonderful. But only if you're going to get the main head and then harvest the side shoots. Otherwise, you got a lot of energy going for one thing. So, and these are, you have days to maturity in your potatoes as well. And these are Red Norland is this variety, really great variety, and it's got some good blight resistance, because blight really is a fungus. Well, one of them, early blight is a fungus. The late blight is a water mold, and late blight is what actually took out the potatoes on the East Coast a handful of years ago, and then it was the potato famine in Ireland. So we have to work with seed breeders and get good developed varietals. And so this is actually an early season, which means it's going to be about a 60 to 70 day harvest. What we planted here was Katahdin. Many of you may know that Maine is really known for their potatoes, and that's Katahdin is a mountain in Maine, and these ones are really known for storage, and they have some late blight resistance bred into them. The other variety that we planted is a nice fingerling, which is also a late season, and those ones really produce pretty vigorously. And the variety we did is a purple one. You can find it at our farm stand in August, September, and that one's called, ready for this? Magic Molly. Pretty cool.
So Adam, how many different varieties of potatoes are we planting out here at Coastal Roots Farm?
We're planting out 3 different varieties, and there's been different trials. You really want to kind of look at your seasonality and your microclimate. There's been different trials that the farm team has been working on over the years, and these ones we found to work pretty well the last couple of years. So we're gonna continue to do that because you're looking at your yields, you're looking at your disease resistance.
Yeah.
Now another thing is water. Here we are in beautiful sunny San Diego, next to the ocean, so it seems like there's a lot of water, but we're in the desert. Potatoes, they're nice. Why is Maine so good for potatoes? Nice long days and cool temperatures. So they actually, if it gets over like 85 degrees, they actually stop fruiting. And when they're at their crucial time, so this is actually a tuber, okay? So you get a root that goes out, and then at the end of that root, you get a bunch of tubers. So these are swollen tubers. So you want them to have enough water and enough nutrients and no diseases attacking them while they're sizing up. So you've got a few different critical watering points throughout your potato season.
So are you saying that potatoes are not a root vegetable?
Well, yeah, technically they're not. They're a tuber, it's not a root.
What's the difference between a root and a tuber?
The difference between a root and a tuber, a root would be the actual root that is doing all of the feeding and all the exchange, feeding the microbes through its exudates and taking in the nutrients that you have. And a tuber is more of a swollen kind of node on a root. That would be a good way to break it down.
Awesome. And you mentioned that some of our potatoes are early season and some of our potatoes are late season. What is the difference between an early and a late season potato? What does that mean?
Well, very briefly speaking, it means your early potatoes are going to be mature about 70 days after planting. Mid-season they're going to be about 80, and long season they're going to be about 90. Now, what does that mean? That you want to really take home, especially if you're going to be doing it in your garden, is you don't really want to plant early season in your garden if you're going to be doing a tower type method, because the early season really only produce tubers on the lateral roots in the first few sessions. When you get into mid-season and late season, which I'll get into here, how we're hilling, you can keep throwing soil up around, and the stalk will send out more laterals and then make more tubers, so you can keep on building up. And so at home, that's the primary reason. What you do in an agricultural sense, why you would grow it, is because you have certain diseases. If you're going to have a lot of diseases and you know they're going to hit mid-season, you want to get that early variety so you can come in and go out. You might plant early, mid, and late because of your labor force or your storage capacity. And so we take all of those things into account. And so here's the red Norland we're about to get planted. Should we go look at the fields and how they look?
Let's do it.
Beautiful. So here we are, you can see where we actually applied our mechanical planting methods to our fields. And now I talked about that hilling and how you can do it at home. In your field or in your garden, even if you're not doing it like this, you want to get it started in a nice little hill. So the seed, you'll see here, the seed is planted just a couple inches down here. And then when we start to get weeds, we're actually going to come back through and throw soil up over to smother the weeds and leave enough of the plant so the photosynthesis continues to happen. So we'll, like 3, 4, maybe 5 times, depending on the variety and the conditions, we'll come through and we'll hill the soil throughout the season as they're growing. Okay, so let's check it out. And so with machinery, it's very key to communicate. So we're always communicating. So before Ellie takes off, we're going to hear on potato, and Ellie's going to take off, and she's going to be listening for whether it's lifting or dropping or however it goes. So we're ready to go, Ellie. And our goal is to plant these between 6 inches and a foot. We're ready. I'm clear. So you can see I'm throwing those down. Check this out. And you can see these fields before. We're not all tilled up, so this is a minimized tillage approach to regenerative agriculture. And look at those beautiful seed pieces. See, they're not going too deep. If they were going too deep, I'd ask her to go a little bit higher because you really only want to plant them an inch or two deep. See that? They're landing at about a foot. That sprout's not going to make it, but that little tight one will. So remember this day, 50th anniversary of Earth Day, when you come to visit us at the farm stand in July and August. We'll have them through September and October as well, because that's the beautiful thing about a crop like this is it all comes on at once and then you do a storage crop. That said, new potatoes are a nice, tender skin approach to where you can come in before your crop is really ready. Most of us that know about our food really love new potatoes. Tender and creamy.
So Adam, you mentioned that this is a low tillage or a no tillage system. Can you talk a little bit more about what tillage is and how this system is different than that?
Absolutely, yeah, and I want to clarify that it's a low tillage, not no tillage. Because you see how we're disturbing the soil right here? That is even considered tillage. Now there is a rototiller, which many of us know, that really prepares a nice seedbed for your soil. But what that does is it takes care of weeds and it levels out ground and it gets you ready to plant. But it also pulverizes all of our little friends, all of our little bacteria and fungus and our strands of mycorrhizal, and all of those little friends help our plants to be resistant against diseases and to take on nutrients. Because just like us, our bodies can't just take on a bunch of calcium. It has to be soluble. It has to be taken up in a certain way. Same thing happens in the soil. That's why when your food is grown in a regenerative way where you're caring for the soil, all of those nutrients and flavors are going to be captured in your food. Did that make sense?
And so how long will these potatoes take to come up out of the ground?
So we're planning on harvesting these red Norlands, which are the early of this field, and we're planning on harvesting these in about 70 days, give or take moisture and heat and everything else. And so we're looking at harvesting these in July or August. And you'll see them fresh for a little while, and then they're going to get cured up and get a thicker skin and be in storage. And then you're going to see them hopefully through October, November.
When will the green top start to poke out of the ground?
So we're going to see green tops. Beautiful. We're going to start to see green tops in likely a week or two. And at that point, we really want to watch our weeds, because as the weeds, which most weeds are actually wonderful plants, there's many different weeds that are medicine and are just plants that are growing in a place where we didn't want them to be growing because we're trying to grow another crop. So we'll be watching that closely, and we might have to come in and weed a little bit before we come back in with that tool. And that tool, what we'll do is we'll take that shovel off and we'll have those discs and we'll bring all the soil up and we'll cover all of the weeds. So we'll smother the weeds out from their sunlight so they can't photosynthesize. And then we're going to start to build up that soil as well. So when those lateral roots that I was talking about earlier come out, there's loose soil for the tubers to start to form.
All right.
So that's it. That's how we're planting our potatoes, and we can't wait to share them with you. And again, I'm Adam McCurdy, the farm manager here at Coastal Roots Farm. And we can't wait to continue to feed you this nourishing food, because food is medicine.